Anybody with a pair of you-know-whats can father a child, but there's a big difference between being a dad and just being a father. My wife has to get up in the middle of the night. She sacrificed a lot. I was used to doing whatever I wanted to do the minute I wanted to do it, and that is out the window. What are some of the things that you've done in preparing to be a father?
For me, it legit started when I was in my early 20s. I don't want a date for the night or find a girl or this or that to hang out with for dinner, to take out. I want to find a wife. I dated with intent, found someone. That's how I found my wife today. And we got married, and now preparations of being a father. I'm 31 and I'm going to be having my first kid in January.
The first 6 months are really hard. I didn't find the first 6 months to be that enjoyable. So you don't really get too much of a relationship as the father, because the baby always needs the mother because they need to eat the milk.
Elon Musk is actually a big proponent, and he brings that up all the time, that he believes that we have a population shortage. You do some research, look into something. Some people have said that Bill Gates have done things to reduce the population.
There's a lot of men, and I think a lot of it's driven by like the attacks on men and masculinity, and the terms toxic masculinity. I think what that's caused over the last 10 to 20 years is that men resent women now. And when men resent women, they don't want to get married, and they don't want to settle down, and they don't want to have a family. Men that are young, that are single, and that are hopeless are dangerous. The more young, angry men that are resentful of women, the more violent crime and the less safe that society is going to be. The more people that care about politics, that care about society, that care about community, the better place, the better world we're going to live in. So parenthood is an absolute key to the future of this country. Welcome back to the 100 Mil Podcast. We're going to talk about fatherhood. There's a difference between being a dad and being a father. Anybody with a pair of you-know-whats can father a child, but there's a big difference between being a dad and just being a father. So what I mean is, like, being a father, right? They got your DNA. Being a dad, you actually have to step up and get stuff done. So, I mean, what are some of the things that you've done in preparing to be a father? And then I can talk about maybe about what it's like being a father.
For sure. I mean, the podcast that we do here, we talk about entrepreneurship. There's young people that are hustling, all different ages, or it doesn't matter young, old, what your age is. But, you know, first thing I'll start off with is when you're like 18, 19, 20, you see all these flashy things. You see someone has a Lambo. You see, you know, Wes Watson walking with his shirt off. You know, you see like...
Getting his cheeks clapped.
You see like this Cuban link chain. You see all this, you know... You see all this Miami stuff that's out there.
It is a Miami vibe, right?
Or like this like private jet lifestyle. And like what I mean...
Luke Belmar.
Yeah. So what I mean to say is like, everyone thinks the shiny objects are really cool and all that kind of stuff, but it's the shiny objects is not what gives you happiness. You know, you could have a Lambo. I've seen people that are depressed. I've seen people that are successful with, you know, a Rolls Royce, a Lambo, or this or that. And I'm not impressed with their lifestyle, and I could tell that they're not happy. So, you know, the first thing I'd say is to prepare for being a father or something. For me, it legit started when I was in my early 20s, and it was when I started to make 10 grand a month. And like at that time, it was a little cusp for me where when I was working my way up to that income, I was attracted to the flashy things. Like, yeah, we'll be Lambros, and say that to your boy, like, you get one, I get one, we'll get matching chrome ones or something, you know? But then as I started to make that money, and I had good mentors in my life, I started to respect the mentors that had a good family life, that had a wife and kids.
And you've talked about that, picking up his kid from school.
100%.
Mo Cash, big shout out to him being 100%. A good dad. That was a good example you got to see. It
was a great example. And he didn't have a Lambo or this or that, but he had a couple cars. He was there for his wife. He's there for his kid. And I was like, this seems more wholesome than this guy that's throwing money at women's butts in the freaking club, like pouring champagne on his Rolex, you know? So like, I'm like, that sounds cool for a short period of time, but that's not a long time. After you have that club, you come home, you don't sleep next to your wife, you don't sleep, you don't have your kids in the house, you don't have a family environment.
Empty.
It's a very empty. So me personally, preparation was in my early 20s when I started making 10 grand a month. I said, at that point, I said, I don't want a date. I don't want a date for the night or find a girl or this or that to hang out with for dinner, to take out. I want to find a wife. That was my thought process early at that time, because I want someone that I can run with and start a family with. And the fulfillment that you get from that. So that's when I started dating with intent rather than just having fun. And I dated with intent, found someone. That's how I found my wife today. And we got married, and now preparations of being a father. You know, I had this all planned when I was younger, which was I wanted to create enough income through business so that if my wife did not want to work during the time of having a kid, or did not want to work at all, she didn't have to.
Yeah.
So, you know, I put things in place or got working in that specific direction by having the plan in my mind first in my early 20s, and then worked at it for 10 years. Now I'm 31 and I'm going to be having my first kid in January. My wife doesn't work a job. She doesn't have to work a job if she doesn't want to. Big shout out to her, because she does all the editing for the podcast and all the content creation for 100 Mil Podcast. But she does that out of passion. She's not going to a 9-to-5 type of job because she doesn't have to. So me in preparation, it started when I was young. I found mentors and idols that I did look up to and what they were living in the life that they had. And then I started to get to work so that I can create that.
Nice. Well, for us, we got married on November 11th of 2023. We just celebrated the 2-year anniversary. I know your guys is coming up in like about a week or so. So shout out to you guys. That'll be, is it your 5th?
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Wow, 5
years.
That's pretty cool.
We got married in COVID. It's crazy.
That's like the first landmark number, right? Like they got the 1 year, the 5 year, the 10, and then, you know, you go every 10 years from there, 20, 30, 40, 50. But for us, we got married in November 11th, 2023. Elizabeth was pregnant by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So we had our first child September 5th of 2024. We'd only been married for 10 months. So pretty much, right, she got pregnant right after the honeymoon, like as soon as we got back. And
you guys dated for how long before you were married?
We started dating in March of 2020. 2020. Beautiful. So we've been dating for like almost 4 years before we got married.
4 years.
So a while.
Got married, and then
we were engaged in May of 2021, and we got married in November of 2023. So 2.5 years of being engaged, and we were like together for like a year and a third. So like, you know, like almost just under 4 years basically. So we've been together now, because now is what, November of 2025. So we've been together for 5.5 years total.
Nice.
Anyways, I feel like you guys started dating right around the same time we started dating.
Very similar times, yeah.
So having a kid, what that's been like, you know, first month, you don't really sleep. Mm-hmm. You know, they're up all hours of the night. So like, you just have to make certain sacrifices. So you're not going to be sleeping as much. You're just going to have to be like ready and be patient. The biggest adjustment for me was like, I'd get frustrated a little bit in the beginning because like, you know, I love my sleep. You're not really sleeping as much. And you're just kind of like a bitch. Like you're just doing bitch work, like 24/7, like changing diapers. What are they crying about? What do they need? Yeah. Do they need a bottle? And then obviously there's expenses associated with the baby as well. Luckily we were doing financially well when we had the baby, but like, you know, diapers aren't cheap. If your wife's breastfeeding, that saves you one thing, but formula is not cheap. Clothes, toys, and then they go through diapers. Like they go through like 6-7 diapers a day. Diapers are not cheap. So you have to be financially ready. And then you have to also be emotionally ready. So being patient. Like the other day, like for example, this is how far I've come. Noah was going to sleep. Elizabeth's holding him in her arms, bringing him over. He's in his like sleep sack. And she's like, oh, say goodnight to him. I go, good night, Noah. I go to like give him a kiss. He just smacks me in the face. And I just go, good night. He's got like bitch slapped right in the. He's like, what are you gonna do? Like he's a year and not even a year and a half. I'm not gonna like do it.
What he's doing.
Yeah, but like you get smacked around a little bit. Like my wife has to get up in the middle of the night. She sacrificed a lot. She doesn't work. So you know, the baby's a full-time job.
Yep.
And I think the first like 6 months are a big adjustment in your marriage as well. Making sure you're still spending quality time with each other, making sure it doesn't become all about the kids.
Yes.
Because a lot of people like lose their passion that way, where it becomes all about the kids, or they can kind of build up resentment to each other and they don't see each other as allies. So every day when we finally got the baby to bed, we would kind of like look at it like a victory. Like, oh, he's asleep for the night now. Like we have a couple hour break until he wakes up in the middle of the night and needs to eat every 4 hours. So we would spend some time together cuddling. And there was a point where my wife was co-sleeping with the baby and I had a twin bed in my big bedroom, king size bed. Her and the baby are in the bed. The baby's in his own little pipsqueak mini bed. Inside, he's like a bed within a bed, a coat with a coat on. He's got this little mini bed that's stacked in our bigger bed. And then me and Teddy, my beagle, are in this little pipsqueak twin bed on the floor. So like that's fatherhood kind of in a nutshell, but it's great. I love being a dad. I love spending time with my son, seeing him kind of get a personality. Now, the first 6 months are really hard. I didn't find the first 6 months to be that enjoyable. Being very honest, you don't really get too much of a relationship as the father because the baby always needs the mother because they need to eat the milk. So the baby has this special relationship with the mother and they don't really do much like of playing or engaging with you. So it's more kind of like you're serving, almost like in business. You're giving, you're giving, you're giving, you're giving. And yeah, you love your son or your daughter, but you're not really getting anything back, like in terms of like a relationship, like any engagement with the child. After the first 6 months, they start to get a little bit of a personality. I used to do this thing where Noah would sit in a chair and I'd clap his feet together because he's got big feet for like being a baby. And he would laugh. And still today, now that he's a year and 3 months old, if I clap his feet together, it like brings him back. I could tell he like remembers it and it makes him happy. So like you like little things like that. And then now it's more about like playing with him. We read to him. So like your roles change. And then from 6 months to 12 months, he and I really started to build that relationship. And then now like a year onward, we're like buddy. And like, he doesn't, drink breast milk anymore. He drinks regular milk. So like, it's just a lot easier. I can't speak off of like what it's like having like a kid yet. Cause I've only had a son that's a year and 3 months, but it's just a lot of service, a lot of emotional development. A lot of like checking in with your wife, making sure she's okay. She's checking in with you, making sure you're okay. And everybody's lifestyle is different. For us, the thing that wasn't super hard was we were always like introverted in the way of we didn't really go out much. We never really went out to eat too much. We weren't like going on a bunch of vacations. We weren't like out and about on the town kind of people, Elizabeth and I. So like that wasn't too much of a change. The biggest change I think people have when they first have a baby is if they're like, say it's someone that like lives in the city and goes to like happy hours or like, is having fun doing this social event, like that's out the window. You're going to be home all the time with the kids. So you better love your house. You better love your setup and you better be comfortable being home and being more of what's called like a home body that first year. And then the last thing I would say is like, people don't always fully understand, like people are cool that you're friends with, like, but like, like even the other day, we all wanted to go out to eat together. My wife was excited to go with all of us and she just couldn't go because we couldn't get him down to sleep because we were getting our house painted and we were staying at my in-laws. So anytime the baby goes in a new environment, you're going to run into kind of more challenges. So sometimes plans need to be changed. You can only go to someone's house for like 2 hours because the baby only has a 4-hour wake window. So it's just like you're always constantly kind of like covering for the baby. And it's just a change. And you can't do exactly what you want to do whenever you want to do it. And like being an entrepreneur and being financially free and having time freedom, I was used to doing whatever I wanted to do the minute I wanted to do it. And that is out the window.
DoorDash in your life.
I was living a DoorDash lifestyle. So like, but it's good though. I feel more fulfilled. I feel so happy. I feel so thankful at the end of the day. And I feel like it's being a real man. Like being a real man isn't like, there's this problem in today, and we could kind of maybe shift a little bit towards this because you spoke about what you've prepared for. I've spoke about what it's like to be a father, but there's a lot of men, and I think a lot of it's driven by like the attacks on men and masculinity and the terms toxic masculinity. I think what that's caused over the last 10 to 20 years is that men resent women now. And when men resent women, they don't want to get married and they don't want to settle down and they don't want to have a family. They think women are like prostitutes. I was just listening to a podcast where like young people like think that way. I think that that's very toxic. Not toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. I think that's a toxic attitude.
Correct.
And it's driving men and women apart. Women, I don't need no man, or man, I don't need a woman. You actually need each other. Otherwise, you can't get married and have a baby and have a family. And you're missing out on one of the best things in life. And the world is hurting because if, let's say you're a woman, I'm a man, and like I have a negative attitude towards you and vice versa. What if those two people were supposed to get married and they were going to have this super genius kid that was going to change the world? And that never happens.
Yeah.
Because they have resentment towards each other and they think they're happier alone.
Yep.
And then before you know it, they're 50 and you're unhappy.
Nope. That's
it's a real problem in today's society.
Elon Musk is actually a big proponent, and he brings that up all the time, that he believes that we have a population shortage. Every time we keep thinking, and like, you know, some people, if you do some research, look into something, some people have said that Bill Gates has done things to reduce the population, actually. And, you know, some people in higher ups in specific areas have done things to reduce the population. Vaccines or specific things. Whatever, I'm not saying vaccines are bad or whatever, but some things that are out there people have done and you know, to reduce the population. But he's saying, hey, listen, we have a shortage, not an excess of population. In the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we're going to have a shortage of people doing X, Y, Z, not an excess of people. So it's true, just like what you're saying, in, you know, how the generations, we've seen it ourselves, which is our parents got married in their 20s, their teens. They had a kid in their teens and their 20s. And then our generation was mid to late 20s, get married and have a kid in their 30s.
Everyone's having them in the 30s now.
And that's what our, you know, generation is doing, which is having the kids in the 30s. But what is a generation younger than us going to do? It's even later, mid 30s or older. And, you know, it's so that itself is going to create some kind of issue unless people
revert back to those
or really start to understand that, you know, this living this life of, you know, how many bodies can you collect, or how many Lambos can you collect, or specific these types of things is cool, but you're going to miss out. You're going to be someone that, let's say, does become a millionaire in their 40s as a female or a male, and then for some reason you can't have kids. And you're going to be like, dang, I wish and you're going to see other people that have kids at your same age. You're going to be like, I'm so jealous. I wish I did that when I was younger, but I was just hustling for the Lambos. And now it's like you in your car and you don't have a kid and you don't have a wife. And at the end of the night, you know, when your buddies are going home and they're sleeping next to a warm body and they have a family in the house, you're sleeping next to a bottle of tequila, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not the best. And it's like, how many date nights can you have before you want to have a baby? You know,
True.
At the end of the day, it's like...
That's what my grandma said. I mean, it's hilarious.
Oh, but I mean, like, it's like, how many women do you need to date before you find the right woman? Is it that you're not meeting the right woman because you haven't met the right woman? Or are you a piece of crap and a womanizer and you don't value and respect women? At one point, we were chauvinistic. We were in a fraternity in college. Sure. I thought women were like an item. You know, you treated them poorly, bullshitted them, lied to them. Guess what happened at that time? I was very unhappy. I was a very unhappy, angry little man with a very empty life. And I was very unhappy. And it took me realizing that that wasn't the right thing to do. And when I started to act the right way, I attracted the right person into my life. And it makes you a better man. It makes you a better leader.
Correct.
It makes you a better member of society. The other day, like, someone cut me off in traffic. I wanted to beat the shit out of them. Honestly, they really like were mean mugging me. And honestly, if I was single, I probably would have kicked the crap out of them. But I got too much to lose. So it makes men that are young, that are single, and that are hopeless are dangerous to society.
Correct.
Women are less so dangerous. It's more so just sad to see like a woman that's like young and bitter and hates men. It's sad. She's not going to go blow up a building or something. But with young men, they're the ones that commit acts of terrorism. They're the ones that commit murders, rapes, theft, all these crimes. The more young, angry men that are resentful of women, the more violent crime and the less safe that society is going to be. When you have a wife and you have kids, even if you're a hothead like me, you'll take the high road. because you have too much to lose.
Correct.
I can't make a rash decision like that because I'm not making a decision just for Dan. I'm making a decision for the entire Adams family.
That is correct.
And if something happens to me, it hurts my wife and it hurts my son and it hurts my other baby that's not born yet. And it makes me not want to do stuff. And since you also have a sense of pride.
Yep.
You don't even want to. It's like, that guy's a loser that cut me off and is all angry in traffic. He's probably got no wife, no kids, or his wife and kids hate him. I got a wife at home that loves me and a son that loves me. I got a lot to lose. And then you kind of just chuckle and say, wait a minute. I don't need to worry about that. And you just kind of keep it moving. So that's how it's really affected me and my mindset. You've always been a really grounded person, which is great. But even someone that's really grounded, it still allows you to propel to new levels because you're going to serve and help more people because you want to leave a legacy for your family. 100%. It'll make you want to create more impact too 100%. As well.
Yeah, no, it's you said it really well. It's the people that are a danger to society. You don't see the Bonnie and Clydes, this couple or criminals together. No, you saw one movie. Maybe there's one in a trillion or.
That's why it was a movie because it was so rare. Yeah.
So like the people that find a significant other, they become more emotionally intelligent because they learn how to care for someone else. They become more, society intelligent in a sense where they become a member of society because now you have a kid and you're not just with your kid stuck in the house. You have to take your kid somewhere.
Yes.
And you're a member of that society where now you have a friends group. Let's say Elizabeth and the kids that play with Noah, you guys are going to end up meeting their parents. And so you're around a different group of people. You're around, it depends on the people that you're around, obviously, as well, but you're around, for us, it's, let's say, successful individuals in their 30s that have a kid that are all making six figures plus.
Sure.
And being around that environment is only good because now that's what your children are going to grow up and they're going to see is because you brought them around that environment. Now, those people that, imagine if you're the same age, what are your friends group doing if you don't have a wife and kid? Then your friends group's meeting at the club, you're pre-gaming, you're doing this, you're doing that, and those things are fine. No one's saying that going to the club or pre-gaming, all things are bad, but you're gonna come home and it's still gonna be empty. That's why I respect, and we have this rule in 100 Mil, as a joke, we always say it, but I tell people that work with me and work with us is that I don't wanna see your girlfriend unless you plan to marry her. Don't bring her in front of me because that's a nobody. So if you're just talking to some girl and we're going to have a meeting, all of us, and if I'm going to bring my wife, I don't want to meet a random person that you're with unless you yourself feel very serious about that person.
Yes.
Then bring them in front of me. That's fine, because if you're going to bring a girlfriend in front of me, I'm going to ask when you're going to propose. I'm going to ask the guy. So we say it as a joke, but it's to call out the people in the industry and in our organization and set the right example for them to be real men, just like we're saying, and to not be, those not
ne'er-do-wells.
Not be a freaking school shooter.
No, exactly. And then the last thing I would talk about is the society impact. So when you have a baby, not like my wife never cared about politics at all. Not even a little bit. She was like the most apolitical person. Now she cares.
Yeah.
Because it's going to affect our son. It's going to affect your son. It's going to affect our other son that's not born yet. So like you find yourself getting more political, not even like more like right wing or left wing, like more like intense one way or the other. You just care more about issues. You care about the local government. All I cared about when I was single was what's the freaking tax rate? Yeah. How do I pay no taxes or little taxes?
The local bar A.
That's it. Like, how do I pay the least amount of taxes possible? Now 100%. It's like, well, I actually don't mind paying property taxes. How do the school system?
Correct.
What kind of books do they have in school? They're not trying to make my son into a daughter, some crazy books like that. I want to make sure that there's not those kinds of books in schools. I care about that. I find myself getting more involved in my spiritual life, in church, more involved in the community. All of those things are good things. And there's people that have more conservative views, more liberal views. All that's great. But the more people that care about politics, that care about society, that care about community, the better place, the better world we're going to live in. So parenthood is an absolute key to the future of this country.